though. Joe Budden, he has some opinions about this album. I think he did. He call him cheesy. I feel like he kind of like
He called
went
that man
towards
childish out here playing around with Cassidy
childish.
and you know.
So Drake responded and pretty much dragged him and said that he is what did he say, something about a unfulfilled rapper or something like that.
Drake said he didn't have a choice but to be a podcaster.
Pretty much. Okay. So what are y'all takes on that? Do you feel like, and then like there was a video going around, was like, name 3 Joe Budden songs or something like that. I guess to prove the point that Aubrey was making. He called that man a failure. Yes. Do you feel like Joe Budden is, really quick, do you feel like Joe Budden is a failure at rapping?
And music.
At music. Let's keep it a buck. Like, do y'all feel that way?
I feel like when you can make a song and like it becomes like a staple song, like every time you think of You Got Served, you think of Pump It Up. So therefore, I feel like he as an artist, because every time my kids and they kids go back to watch You Got Served with Omari on them, you gonna hit Pump It Up, and you every time you gonna be like, oh, this
is a little saint.
You feel me? Always go do it for Lil Saint. I don't think Joe Budden a failure. I think he had a good run in music. He just let the white stuff get to him at the wrong time. But yeah, I don't think he's a failure. What you think, Will?
I wouldn't label it as a failure. Like you said, he has the staple in music. You know what I mean? But I mean, it was other how you can
Wait, I didn't hear what you said. I think it's an echo coming from Jay Marie.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I just piggyback off what you said though. He definitely has a staple in punk. You know what I mean? But he didn't have a long music career. I mean, he's not a top 100 rapper of all time. You know what I mean? He's not. And honestly,
not top 100 is crazy. He not though.
You know, and he does but he does have Pump It Up argument, and I'll say that it wasn't a failure because he was able to broadcast himself in front of a lot of people, and now he has a podcast from that, and that's just how it got to be. Everybody can't make it. Everybody not supposed to be a GOAT, you know. So it's like a pass fail thing. I wouldn't say a failure.
I also feel like every artist is not meant to be like this lifetime achieving like musical artist. I think Joe Budden came in, did what he had to do, and that paved the way for him to go into a different lane. And I feel like he wouldn't be as successful in podcasting if he didn't have that history of him being a music artist.
He definitely wouldn't. A lot of people wouldn't. To be honest, a lot of any rapper is pretty much like that. You know what I mean? To me, I don't want to like start throwing names, but I would say like
Roll names, William. Is that your name? William?
All right, so it's the thrill. No, I'm just playing. But I was like, to be honest, so like Gilly the Kids podcast, I'm not really a fan. I'm not really a fan of that podcast. It's how do I say this? It's not very like I don't like clout podcast. Almost like Young Miami stuff. It's like you already got clout for something else. Of course, people gonna watch it. You one of the only people who can pull these people. You know what I mean? Like I don't really like clout podcasts. I like podcasts that are organic and that really care and that really, you know what I mean? That are genuine. I like genuine podcasts. I'm not really
like Miami's is real. I feel like she brings a certain authenticity for the girls. Like
Carisha, please.
Yes.
But let's say like Young Miami was never Young Miami. She was straight Carisha Please out the gate, and she wasn't able to get the interviews that she got, I don't think she could have built that from the ground
No,
up. I'm
I
not
think
going.
she would because she's funny.
She
Like,
is funny, and she's not afraid to ask the questions, like the simple but like
I feel like even if she did it,
questions
she
that everyone
she
wants.
interviewed a regular person, it would be the same. Like we would laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's biased. It's
Awards.
already done.
Diddy is paying for these awards. There's no way she beat out Joe Budden.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Joe Budden's podcast is dope. There's no way.
There is no way that she beat out Joe Budden. I don't care what nobody say. Diddy is paying for her to get these awards. And
All
I don't
awards are.
blame her. If
Do
I was
you
dating
feel like
Diddy,
it's clout too though? Like Will said with the whole clout thing, Bree. Like, her having the clout behind what she does and her being likable. I think a lot of for Joe Budden, and we've seen this throughout his career, because he is not afraid to say certain things, he is not that likable. And a lot of industry people might not like him. Do you feel like that plays a factor when it comes to winning these awards?
it could, but also we all see that Diddy is pretty much putting her on the pedestal, on the platform to do a lot of things. So it's not like we're not seeing the evidence here. Diddy is paying for her to win these awards. But I do get what you're saying, because like even with the Breakfast Club for a long time, it was certain people that was like, I'm not coming to the Breakfast Club for an interview because of the way Charlamagne was. I think Charlamagne has gotten a lot more easier to get along with a lot of these artists and public figures that they interviewed than how he used to be, like in early 2010s. But yeah, it could be that too. It could be a lot of bias, like, oh, we're not gonna let Joe Budden win because. But who is? I would like to know who's like the deciding factor at the
I want.
BET. Like who on the what's the circle called? The people that
Uh,
vote,
the board.
the board. Like who's on the board to pick who wins best podcast?
I think they shorted Drink Champs too. Like Drink Champs is I feel like one of the best podcasts out there as well.
Yeah.
And you can tell, I don't know how much research any of the other podcasts do, but you can tell when he sits down with certain people, he does some research. And I don't know. I feel like they kind of shorted him too. He actually Nori actually spoke about that, and he said if not, I think it was something like if not me, like why was I shorted? Which is funny that he actually spoke out on it. I don't know. I feel like it would have been between him and Joe Budden.
They about to start saying F these awards too, like the artists.
Yeah.
Because clearly y'all getting snubbed. Like, and then with Carisha, please, I feel like Carisha, like she asks questions, but she don't give her own opinion.
Yeah.
Like
When I
she,
see her, you said what?
I said she's not very vocal about her own opinion. Like
When I had seen her do the she interviewed Ari. She asked Ari about her miscarriage. And she was like, "So how you feel about that?" Like it was just
how do you feel about a miscarriage? Is crazy.
straightforward. Like, yes.
I want to say two things real quick while I'm thinking about them. The first thing is real short. All awards now are bought for the most part. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is the industry is so saturated. You don't think Stacey Red got a podcast right now and like and get millions of views and you know what I mean? Like
I probably
and
will only watch episode 1. I don't think I could do a Sexy Red podcast.
anybody Lil Durk can start a podcast right now. Stacey Red can start a podcast right now. Anybody who has it going right now could literally branch off into that because people are so obsessed with being in these people's business and hearing them talk and seeing them do things outside of music, which is dope for don't get me wrong. Like I'm happy that Young Miami can make music and make money on podcasts. I'm not hating, but it's just so anybody who has a platform right now could start a podcast and people will tune in because people are obsessed with people like ridiculously. You know what I mean? And they know it. That's why they do it. You know what I
Do you
mean?
feel like it takes away with these artists? We talked about this a few weeks ago about journalists, like artists coming on and doing journalism type work, whether it's like, hosting or, we saw it at the MTV Awards with Sweetie. Do you feel like it's taking away from when these artists do these podcasts, it's taking away from the true podcasters who have been really putting in the work all these years to build up what the podcasting world is.
Yeah, I
No,
feel like. Go ahead, Will.
why would Dirk come sit down with DJ Will Thrill when he can sit down with somebody else who podcast first of all already has millions of followers because of their music, and then and then somebody else who has millions of followers and they just combine and it's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like if if Ari answered the same questions that she answered on Carisha Please, like with me, it probably wouldn't have got much trash. You know what I mean? But since Miami has the platform, they both females that girls, I mean, follow and probably want to be like and always in their business. It just gives it more, you know what I mean?
I just think
As a, I mean, that's just how it looks.
So my question is, okay, so from your perspective, Will, what would you say, how do you think that us as media, people in media, or, whether it's your podcasting or you're working in media, what do you think we can do as a collective to help the situation so that we're not completely X'd out moving forward? Like, because that's what it seemed like. Like the jobs are being taken by these celebrities now.
we're really being X'd out because even I saw Lady London
Yeah,
was
I saw that
doing
too.
media correspondent at the Hip Hop Awards. So I really think we're being X'd out.
What do you think we could do, Bree? Like, do you think there's anything we could do to make it so that we are still being thought of in these spaces?
I feel like we just have to. I don't know. Actually, let me get comfortable. I think it's a combination of things. I think a lot of up and coming like journalists or people that want to work in like media, they take the easy route. Like we sit down and we just sit in front of a microphone and a camera and think that social media is the only way to excel in our career when it's really not that. Like you still have to be in these rooms. You can't work for Revolt if you're not in the rooms. You feel me? So like, and even like what you doing when you go on to Culture Con and Complex Con and all these different culture and like media fest, like those are the things that you have to do. And I don't think that a lot of us are doing like the groundwork
Hmm.
to be like, okay, well, if Def Jam hit BT Awards and say we want Lady London to do the red carpet, they could be like, no, we've been kind of already working with this girl. She's been coming to all the BT events. We've been, seeing her cover, do her own coverage, and we think that she's dope. She's a free agent right now. She's not signed to nobody. We're going to bring her in as the official correspondent for the BT Hip Hop Awards. I just think like the groundwork needs to be amplified a little bit more.
Hmm. How do you feel like, with social media playing a huge part in all of it is based off of your clout? Like, yes, it's the groundwork, but it's also that. Like, how can people who are looking to be in media grow that aspect of their following so that way when they're looking at, okay, she's putting in the groundwork but she's also got this following, what are some tips that you have for that? Because I think, to your point, we do got to do the groundwork, but it's also, I've heard it where people, these companies will look at how many followers you have, what's your following look like. So what are your advice on that?
I hate that too because people buy their followers every day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this one girl that I think she was at Invest Fest or something. She had like over 100,000 followers, and as I'm going through her photos and her interviews and stuff, she's getting like 100 likes, 200 likes, 75 likes. Like that's humanly impossible. It doesn't add up. Like, but
Build that, you got to build that following organically, okay? Because I
okay.
pride myself in that. I don't got a lot of followers, but I pride myself in the
I
organic.
think just being consistent. I know I'll be lacking on consistency. I feel like a lot of us have our moments where we lack on consistency and putting out content. Making sure that like you find what's missing in your industry or in your field of the industry and try to like amplify it and put yourself in a space that you feel like nobody else can touch you. Like I think that's the biggest thing because when you look at it, we all um who is it? Chelsea got to stop commenting. When you when you look at it, like we all are putting out content. Like how many live streams do you watch on YouTube? A lot.
Mhm.
How many? Even if you don't watch them, you come across a lot of live streams. You come across a lot of podcasts. You come across a lot of people doing album reviews and music reviews. But it's like you have to dig deeper, do your research, and figure out, okay, well, what's gonna set me apart from every other person that's doing this?
Mm-hmm. I agree. What about you? What do you think about the whole, influencer versus media personality, and how a lot of the times we have to have both? Like we have to have that following. These companies are not looking at just what we can do talent wise or even the work that we're putting in, but they're looking at our social medias to see if we have the following that's gonna help build their following. What do you think about that?
I'm a big fan of real talent. People who actually have talent. So there's a lot of people who don't really have a talent, but they like know a famous person. So like they're now all of a sudden an influencer. And once you've been given like that title and that respect, like literally a person I don't want to say a person who hangs out with a famous person. Okay, you know what I mean? It's a zillion of them. Maybe their best friend or something like that. People are so like world is so obsessed with these people that just be around things that it really blocks the real talent. And then on the other side, you have that real talent that might not be as good, not anywhere close, or even able to broadcast their talent because they don't have the resources that this person that's cool with the famous person has, and they don't have the immediate following because they got tagged. The famous person's friend got tagged in the picture. Now they all of a sudden, bam, 30K. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that person might as well drop a T-shirt line or some, and people gonna eat it up, as opposed to like a person who doesn't know a famous person. You know what I mean? And it's so hard organic to build your following,
A lot
without
of
those
people
type of.
do things for shock value too. We see it a lot.